Hey everyone! So you might notice that my computer monitor's turned off. Why is that? Am I not reading a creepypasta tonight? And the answer is no, I'm not. I had a bit of a long day, but I don't want to, cop out and, have this be a cheat day or a skip day. No, so what I'm going to do is for this video I want to talk about my history with creepypasta because I think that I want to. Creepypasta was a very important thing for me. It was. It was really one of the first fandoms I was ever a part of. And in a sense, I've never really left the creepypasta fandom. Last time, the last two cosplay, two of the cosplays that I ever did for Tsukino-con, which is my city's local anime convention, it was of creepypasta characters, and, if I had, more money and more time to work with, I probably would work on more. But, I think this is a video that I want to talk about this, and tomorrow I will be talking about another creepypasta. So, and yes, I am recovering from a cold as well, so, what was my first introduction to creepypasta? Believe it or not, I actually wasn't into horror a lot when I was reading creepypasta. My favorite movies were, like, Spaceballs, Labyrinth. They had elements that were horror, but they weren't horror in general. It wouldn't be a while until I really would watch a horror movie. I always had that interest in horror, though. I always liked monsters. But anyway, I remember watching a bunch of videos about creepy video game legends. I was watching, like, Rabbid Luigi's creepiest Easter eggs. All kinds of videos about, spooky hidden ghosts or stuff like that. And eventually that led me down the rabbit hole to video game creepypasta. I was watching a Tats Tops videos on creepy video game urban legends, and it included all kinds of creepypasta. I don't remember what my first creepypasta was. It was probably one of those video game ones. Probably like, actually, it was probably one of the Lost Episode ones, because there was also I think there was a TV Urban Legends one. But, anyway, I eventually found myself reading creepypasta a lot during middle school. And especially, it was mostly during high school, actually. Because, I don't know, I think I have vague memories of reading some creepypasta during middle school, but it was mostly during high school. And it was actually during high school that I started doing my original creepypasta reviews. It was during a Copernican block, which basically meant that I had 2 classes and a massive break in between them. It was like a hour or 2 hour long break. It was some absurdly long time. Or at least absurdly long for me. But, I was on a computer, and, I was still reading, looking for new creepypastas, and one caught my interest. It was Luna Game. Now, I didn't like Luna Game. I thought after a while it just became a boring slog to read. And so I brought my thoughts together and put them on a little journal on DeviantArt. DeviantArt has that journal function, if for those of you who don't know. And I enjoy doing that. So I thought, well, why don't I look at more creepypasta? Because before that, I was talking about MLP fan works, and I only thought there was like 3, 4 worth talking about. That was before that was before I was into Brony and found channels like Silver Quill, Golden Fox, Lightning Bliss. The only Brony channel I was subscribed to was like Josh Scorcher. That was it. So yeah. My next review after that was Jeff the Killer, and then I took a step back and looked at an Edgar Allan Poe story. Now, Edgar Allan Poe is one of my favorite writers of all time, so any chance to talk about that, I would have taken. So, that was 2014, and I was still in high school. 2015, I continued reviewing creepypasta, but my output was severely limited because of 2 factors. First, I was still in school, so I had to kind of prioritize schoolwork. But second, I didn't really have a functioning computer at home. I didn't have this. I can actually show you this. I had this. This is Terra. I don't even think I had Terra at this time. I think I had like a netbook or something, but anyway, that was those were the computers I had. They weren't great. Actually, I think I had Terra in my extra year of school. But, so my output for reviews was severely limited. I think I reviewed, like, I don't know, 29 creepypasta. So my goal for the following year was to increase my output, which I did. And then the next year I had a decreased output again. And that was 2018, and that was also the first year that I was looking at creepypasta outside of school, or was that 27? It does not matter. Well, I'm getting my dates mixed up. Anyway, 2018 was the final year I looked at creepypasta on DeviantArt because multiple reasons. First of all, it just wasn't being fun anymore. I was reviewing creepypasta because I liked reading them and I liked talking about them. But there's a difference between talking about them with other people and talking about them, through text. And that's kind of the reason I'm doing these as videos, because I like to talk about these things because I just do. I don't know why. But the other main reason I stopped was because I was kind of getting burnt out of creepypasta. It's not to say that I wasn't liking it anymore. It's more that I just found myself in less and less of moods to read a creepypasta on a random computer because, sometimes I had to go to the library, sometimes, most of the time I had to go to the library, and The walk to the library was not a fun one. Like, I live in a city where I can pretty much walk to everything, but, you know, it was still a tedious walk to do, so that is that is the those are the main reasons I stopped. It wasn't being fun anymore. I was getting burnt out, and, you know, the means of writing my reviews and reading my creepypastas was never fun. Not always fun. So 2019 is the first year that I haven't been reviewing creepypasta. But or was it 2018? Whatever. But yeah, it was 2018 because the Spyro Reignited trilogy was 2018, or yeah, it was 2018. But I do like to review things. I like to talk about and criticize things. So, you know, I went on to reviewing animated movies, and, you know, during that I was also talking about music, and I had too many projects to juggle, and the music reviews that I just kind of fell out of doing early, but I replaced talking about creepypasta with talking about, you know, animated movies, and I'm trying to review more cartoons on my main channel. And as but returning to the main point, creepypasta has a special place for my heart because it was the first specific fandom I was a part of. Like, there's a lot of people who like music, there's a lot of people who like cartoons, and, you know, it wasn't the first thing I was a big fan of. I was watching SpongeBob way before I was into creepypasta, but, you know, it was a specific fandom I was a part of. I wasn't a big name, and I didn't talk with a lot of other people, so, you know, take that for what it's worth, but it was the first fandom I did take part in. I did, you know, talk about these creepypastas. I did, you know, write my own scary stories. I do cosplay as these characters. I even did a video comparing a cheap Halloween costume from Spirit Halloween to my homemade Jeff the Killer cosplay. So, I don't think I will stop appreciating creepypasta. There has been a lot of crap happening, and ultimately there has been some stuff that I'm not really fond of. There has been stuff I wasn't fond of, but as a whole, the creepypasta have always been an interesting thing for me. And in some respects, it's always going to be a part of me. You know, I will remember, you know, sitting in the school library, just passing the time by reading Happy Appy or whatever the hell I decided to throw on that day. I'm always going to remember writing. I'm always going to remember the room I wrote that Luna game review in, and I'm always going to remember how frickin' little I cared about writing that weird demo reel creepypasta review. And, you know, I'm always going to remember some of the interesting stories some of the interesting stories I found in creepypasta. I will always remember the sheer horror of reading Wanna See a Magic Trick. I'll always remember, you know, I always remember the sheer boredom I had at reading Sonic.exe Round 2. And, you know, these things are just... this is just for any fandom, really. You know, bronies will always remember that one episode that, you know, made them a brony. You know, gamers will always remember that one video game they loved. Disney fans will always remember their the Disney movies they watched as a child. And you know, that's kind of what I like about fandoms. You know, we all have our stories to share. We all have the stories about how we fell into these things, how we, you know, discovered these things, and, you know, what inspired us to, you know, partake in these things more. You know, I don't think I'll ever forget things like seeing that weird Tats Tops videos scene of the photonegative Mickey Mouse taking off its head. I don't think I'll ever forget how horrifying certain creepypasta concepts to me were at first. I will never, and I will especially never forget this horrible review I wrote for a specific creepypasta, which I want to put behind me. So I'm gonna end it right here. This video is mostly just me reminiscing about a medium that I've grown to love more. Even the crappy ones, because as much as I don't like certain ones, I do have to acknowledge that they're always going to be someone's first. You know, Sonic.exe, Squidward Suicide, things like that, they're always going to be someone's first. And, you know, I remember thinking, wow, these are some of the greatest stories I've ever read. And then I went back and looked at them and I was like, I was dumb. But, you know, I don't think I really was dumb. It was just something new for me. So, I hope you found my story interesting. And, you know, I want to encourage other people to share their stories and share their experiences and share the things they'll never forget, because, well, that's what the fandoms are. That is what brings us together. It's not just our love for these stories, and it's not just our hatred for these stories as well. It's also our experiences with them. This has been the Entity of Darkness, and this has been Night 4 of the Creepypasta Spookfest. So, with all that said, fare thee well.